Live.
Hello, and welcome to Gehenna Gaming. My name is Stephanie Allen, and I'm going to be your game master for tonight and for the next several Thursday nights. We are playing Witchburner by Luka Rejec. More on the game in a moment, but first, let's meet our cast. Please introduce yourselves. Tell people where they can find you. We will introduce our characters in just a bit. Kristina, you want to get us started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kristina Sisto Kindle, and I'm a writer, a content creator, and I love playing games. You can find me over on Twitter at D20Xtina, where I tweet about a bunch of stuff I do.
Hiromi?
Hi, I'm Hiromi. I am also a freelance writer and game designer, mainly for Onyx Path, but also for Green Ronin, WotC, and whoever will give me money. Um, you can find me on Twitter at Hiromi Cota, because that's my name, and it makes it very easy to find me. Uh, yeah, glad to be here.
Miellyn?
Hi, everybody. I'm Miellyn Barrows. I'm a writer. I make stories, usually weird ones. And you can find me on Twitter at MiellynB.
And Ian.
I'm here all the time. I think everyone knows me at this point. If you are new to the Gehenna Gaming channel, thank you for tuning in. I'm Ian, one of the co-founders of Gehenna Gaming. You can find me on our Discord or on Twitter or on the rest of the internet as Ravnos13 or some variation on that. And my clan exists again in 5th edition Vampire as of today, and I'm very excited about that. I'm relevant again. But again, thank you all for tuning in this evening. I'm very excited to be diving into this game.
Me too.
And that leaves me. Like I said, my name is Stephanie Allen. I am one half of Charm Person Games. We are a queer, women owned professional game master for hire service based out of Baltimore. You can find me here on Gehenna Gaming mostly. On Monday nights, I play Kreen of the Fae in our Monster Hearts game, Gehenna Valley, and I run various other games at other points. You can book me to run games for you at charmpersongames.com. And tonight, like I said, our game is Witchburner. It is a system neutral module written by Luka Rejec. It's an intimate, claustrophobic delve into witch hunting, trapped between rivers, mountains, and a forest. The small, superstitious town of the Bridge of St. Cleareyes has hired our party to find the witch that is causing chaos and destruction in their town. If they can do it in less than a month, they get a cash reward. But if the party takes too long to find the witch or is too harsh with the locals, they risk a mob forming to burn them as the witches bringing the displeasure of the gods. The locals are in witch fever, and everyone has something to hide. To play, we're going to be using the resistance system. I've written some character classes, skills, domains, abilities, all of that. So we're going to introduce our characters to you now, going in reverse order that we just did. So let us know your character name, what they look like, their class, anything else you want people to know about them. Ian?
Um, sure. All right. So I am playing Robin. Robin is a slight, slender, almost willowy young man who, dark, messy hair, bright green eyes, and he's very quiet, keeps to himself, very introverted. That's all I want to say about that.
Mylan, introduce your character.
My character is Renny, and she looks a lot like Robin. And that's all I want to say about that.
All right, and Hiromi.
I'm playing Gillin. They are tall, flamboyant, and sad. They recently had their spouse die, which is, well, that'll make anyone sad, right? They've decided to channel this into religious motivation, which is an idea.
Excellent. And Kristina, tell us about your character.
Yeah, I'll be playing Mateo, and he's recently returned from being in an army, and that's probably all he'll want to say about that. He's a taller, kind of larger fellow. He's got kind of long, dark hair that he always kind of has pulled back, and also has a bit of a sad air about him as well. And sticks pretty close with Gillin.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, guys. So let's talk a minute about safety tools. This is a story of paranoia, of painful moral quandaries, and tragedy. Witchburner gets dark. Everyone has filled out a consent form that we've gone through together, and I'll be consulting as I tell the story with these guys. We've also had a session 0 already where we went over safety tools. And I want to remind you guys as the audience that you have a safety tool too. You can leave at any point, and we actively want you to do that if the game is getting to be too much for you. We will be here when and if you feel like returning. All right. Let's tell a story about witch hunting, shall we? You all find yourselves standing in a courtyard in early afternoon, the town of the Bridge of St. Cleareyes, a town that is literally built onto a giant bridge and onto the hills nearby. You're standing on one end, looking across the courtyard at the gathered townsfolk. And the townsfolk are watching the Lord Rightmaker pace back and forth across, and her long red cloak is billowing out behind her. They look uneasy. The mayor is sweating in her fox fur as she starts to recount the signs the townspeople have seen to the Lord Rightmaker. The fish of the river floated upturned upon the water with handprints burned into their putrefying flesh. A black cat was found, gutted and nailed upon the doors of the schoolhouse. A child was born with a third eye, and when it cried the name of an unknown god. We put it to death, of course, as is right. And the buckwheat wilted black in the fields, and the pumpkins bled red under the plum orchard hill. As she says all of this, what are you all doing? Where are you looking? What are you paying attention to?
Robin's looking at his feet, just kind of sitting there, a little bit behind to the side of Renny. Kind of head down, looking at his feet, listening.
Gillen's squeezing their pendant of the water drinker, the avatar of the underworld and river, tight enough that their knuckles are white.
I think Mateo is going to kind of place a hand on Gillen's shoulder and just kind of squeeze a little, but then also be looking around the town, looking to see if there's any, like, what are the best entrances, the best exits, looking for the points to note, just in case something were to go wrong in this crowd.
So you can see that the townspeople have mostly left the road on each side. The courtyard has a road coming into it from each side. It's more or less in the middle of the town. So, and it's open. There are buildings around you, but it's not a walled city. So if you needed to, there are lots of ways you could get out of town and escape into the mountains that are soon to be full of snow, and the forest full of strange things, and the giant river raging underneath the bridge.
Renny's looking around to see if anyone is looking at her and Robin.
Actually, as of right now, it appears that everyone is fixated on the Lord Rightmaker. She's not looking at anyone in particular. She's not looking at all of you. She's listening. She's looking at the ground. She looks up occasionally. She surveys the town, not looking at the mayor. And as the mayor goes through her list of signs of a witch, she eventually falls silent and just kind of stares at the Rightmaker, who stops and then turns and surveys the crowd. And it's quite a reaction as they get a full view of her face for the first time. And some of them look away, many of them look uncomfortable. you can picture that eerie, serene smile all too well. And she turns to the crowd and says, "My friends, good citizens, I have listened to your list of calamities, and I understand your plight. You have a witch." And she turns around to all of you, and she smiles, and the blood weeps from her empty eye sockets, and the red gemstone of her third eye glints at you in the sun. "You have a witch, and we're gonna burn the bitch." And she tries to make eye contact with all four of you. Well, you assume she's trying to make eye contact with those empty eye sockets.
Can
Do
I?
you meet her gaze?
No, but can I also kick us off with our first roll?
Sure, what are you gonna roll?
Insight.
Okay, what are you looking to determine?
If she's telling the truth, is there really a witch here, or is she making it up for some reason?
Okay.
And I'm gonna use one of my abilities,
Okay, which ability is that?
known truth.
Known truth, all right.
Roll an extra d10 for this, I believe.
Let's see, pull it up here. I wrote all of these, but I don't have them memorized. Let's see.
I can separate truths from lies, add 1d to my next roll
Sure.
to separate truths from lies once per day.
Yep. So you've got skills. You're using insight, which is knowing the reasons behind words and actions.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can roll 2d10.
2 and a 7.
So we just want the higher one. So a 7 is a success at a cost. So you're going to take some stress.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
You're going to take stress to your mind resistance track. So just mark 1 stress there. But you do succeed. And are you looking at the right maker and just not making eye contact, or are you very much not looking at her?
I'm very much not looking.
Okay.
Still looking at my shoes.
Still looking at your shoes, but you focus in on the unique qualities of her voice and how warm and serene she always sounds. And you've concentrated. The Lord Rightmaker firmly and completely believes what she is saying. There is a witch here. The signs are here. There must be a witch. And she firmly believes that all of you are going to find and burn that witch.
So I look at her. I do meet her gaze.
Mhm.
And I would like to use my skill of charm.
What are you going to do?
So how do I do that? I'm sorry.
Tell me narratively what you're going to do.
Okay, I would just like to tell her we're going to take care of it for you. Don't worry. We will absolutely take care of this.
All right. So, and then if you want to, you can roll charm if you want to try and like extra convince her.
Oh, okay.
But she will just simply believe you if you say it narratively.
Cool.
She smiles at you. I know you will. I have faith. And then she whirls around and turns back to the townspeople and says, "The witch could be anybody, and anybody could be their familiar. They might be riding the person right next to you like a jockey rides a prize thoroughbred. They could be anyone, any gender, any age. But don't worry, the fire of truth will burn them out. We'll purify them right down to their fucking shit." And the townspeople gasp, many of them, both at the language and the threat. And she just laughs. "Oh, please, don't go getting paranoid. Finding the Dark Lord's ass lickers is a science. If you've nothing to hide, my burners here will keep you safe." She gestures at all of you. The full attention of the townspeople are on you now. All 150 or so pairs of eyes fixed on you. Any reactions? The Lord Rightmaker simply turns and leaves without ceremony. She gets into her black carriage and starts crunching away on the gravel road back towards the city, leaving you here in the town of the bridge of St. Cleareyes. Most of the crowd takes that as their cue to begin to disperse, and you're left with an assortment of about a half dozen or so people, including the mayor, who begin to cautiously approach you. The mayor has red hair, and she is still sweating. Still sweating. It's not that hot. Why is she sweating? And wearing a big fox fur. Next to her is a tall, graceful woman who has scars carved into her of the signs of the three avatars: the Earth Beater, the Firebringer, the Water Drinker, and a few other people around them. And the mayor says, "Welcome, Burners? Lord Burners? Is that Lord's Burners? Is that what we should call you?"
It's not very important what you call us, I say. We just need to know where to start.
As you will. She gestures to a woman next to her, and she says, "This is our our notary, Petra Inksblood. She will take you over to the town mortuary, I suppose, where you could see the fish. We've kept some for you. I am Edna Kingsname, the mayor, at your service." And she bows very low, nicely. "And your stay at the inn, of course, is covered, but the town is at your disposal."
We thank you. Did you save any of the crops by any chance?
There are some still in the fields, but I believe that some of the farmers have brought some, assuming you would want to examine them as well.
And the infant, where does it lay?
In the cemetery, in the corner. We can. Will you require us to dig it up?
Perhaps. Yes.
Yes.
We should not speak of it in polite company, though.
Yes. We'll see that it's done. And she gestures to someone over her shoulder, and a thin man scurries off. Is there anything that you would need in the meantime, or shall we get started?
Let's go.
Yes.
Edna, the mayor, turns to the woman beside her and nods, and the tall, graceful woman steps forward. "Petra Inksblood," she introduces herself again, and you can see that like the scars that are carved into her were done many years ago. But Firebringer, Water Drinker, Earth Beater, carved into her. But she moves with a great deal of grace, and she gestures behind her, gestures for you to follow her, and she leads you over to the town mortuary. And you're brought inside. It's a very cold room. It's like kind of cellar-like, carved down into the earth there. And she shows you a basket of putrefying fish. The smell is horrible, and there are handprints burned into them.
And I study them.
Yes, you may. All right. So now that you have stress, I get to roll when you roll.
And I would like to. So, how does it work? How does my domain apply here?
You can look at your domain and you can make an argument to me if it applies. What is your domain?
Magic.
So, what are you trying to get from this study roll?
Was this done by supernatural means?
All right. So then, yes, your domain of magic would apply, and you could add another d10. I get to roll now.
I have a 9.
All right, and I rolled under your stress level. so you're fine. Or excuse me, I rolled over the stress level, so you're fine.
Okay, I was gonna say.
So it
Only one.
yes. So 9 is a success with no stress. So narrate to me how it is you examine these fish.
I completely unfazed, just reach in and pick one up. At it, hold it in my hands. Flip it over. Smell it. Like
It's disgusting. It's been putrefying for several days. Petra has refused to come any closer to the basket and is holding a handkerchief over her face. And you know things about magic. You know traces that magic leaves behind. You know the requirements for it and some of the reasons why people might cast magic if they had the ability. And if there was magic here, it's long gone. And it feels less like spells you are familiar with, what traces you might be picking up, and more like a sign from the gods of displeasure, perhaps?
just drop it back into the basket.
And it lands with a wet splat, some viscera.
I look for something to wipe my hands off on.
There is a young man in the mortuary who kind of sees you hunting around and offers a thin towel to you.
And I say to Robin, is it?
Shrug.
Yeah.
I don't speak.
Yes. And I say yes, and I turn to the person who brought us in.
To Petra?
It's not good, Petra.
I should think not.
It's really not good.
That much is clear. What are Mateo and Gillin doing?
Is your sense of smell gone?
I mean, no, but I've smelled much worse than old fish. How are you holding up?
That's foul. I don't know what we can learn here.
The handprints interest me. Have you seen anything like this before?
I can't say that I have. This is not earthly.
Oh, I've seen this before.
Indeed.
Yes. It's not good.
What does it mean? Other than something foul is here.
Yes. It's sending a message. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very, very hard to take this one down.
I'm going to hold my hand out and kind of press it against one of the indentations just to see kind of how the size of the hands.
You said Mateo is a big fellow?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bruiser kind. The handprint is smaller than yours, but than most handprints are, to be fair. It's not far too large to be a child, but beyond that, it's hard to really get much clarity from it. It's not as if somebody had painted their hand and grabbed the fish, especially now that they've been rotting for days and the flesh is liquefying basically at this point and sloughing off. The chat. But it's hard to get more detail from that, and you could, if you wanted to try and sort through the basket and see if you could find one that was maybe a little clearer,
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'm
So you dig,
gonna roll up the sleeve and just shove my hand in.
dig in. There's aren't a lot of fish in there. There's maybe a half dozen, but they're big. They're fairly large fish. You know, like they come about this long. They're thinner kind of fish, darting kind of river fish. And uh, you know, you can finally do find one towards the bottom that the weight of the other fish on top of it had kind of forced out a lot of the liquid. So it's less liquid than the other ones on top of it, but it has the flesh has been kind of pressed down and not quite preserved, but closer to that, the way you would press something in a book. You know, you have the skin is mostly left there, and that's the clearest handprint you can see. And it is definitely smaller than yours, definitely an adult, um, and not a small adult. It leans towards the larger side, and it's as you look at it, it almost looks like a hand made of fire touched it, which is all you can think of. Like this wasn't like an iron that was heated and then pressed into it the way you would brand cattle or something like that. It was flame in the shape of a hand directly applied to the fish.
I'm gonna reach out to Robin just silently and hold my hand out for the towel that he has. And I'll wrap the fish and kind of stick it in my bag, if I have a bag.
Yeah, you have a bag. So you're taking the whole fish with you?
Yup.
No, both Petra and the young man working in the mortuary just kind of really side eye you. They look at each other, they look back at you, and then just very clearly decide not to say anything.
Gonna be one of those days, isn't it?
It always is.
Hmm.
Do you have the wheat here? Or the cat? Or
Uh,
anything else?
the cat, yes.
Oh.
Um, so I'm gonna pause for 1 second. Harm to animals was a yellow for a lot of us. We cool having a scene, or do we want to just fast forward past it and talk about what it is you found after looking at it?
Good either way.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm good either way.
I'm fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll have a scene where you guys can actually, narrate this, and remember we have our safety tools if it gets to be too much. So the young man nods and goes over to a corner. There are several like shelves kind of carved into the wall, like mortuary slabs, and he does pull out a wooden board out of there and sets it down in front of you and takes a black cloth off of it. And there is the desiccated body of a black cat. It's several days old. It also smells bad, although not quite as bad as the fish. There, and as you look at it, you can see that the cat was, sliced straight up the middle from one end to the other. And most of the organs had been pulled out, and what's mostly left is just a really bad skinning job with bits of viscera and fluids.
Same thing as last time.
Gonna do a magic. Okay, so roll for me.
Robin just walks right over to it. Starts protecting it. That is a 9 again.
So clear success, no stress, and I roll over your stress level. No magic hit here. None. Not even the like faint whiff of something kind of sort of divine that you got from the fish. There's no magic at all here.
And I say to him, is it?
His eyes narrow. Just looks disgusted.
Yes.
I would say that you would know with a 9, you would know that there are spells that use or require animal sacrifice, and it's usually like something big and extravagant and showy like this, but you can't feel any magic here.
I said to Petra, it's not good.
Only thankful it was a stray and no one's dear pet.
Can I ask an out-of-game question quickly?
Yeah.
Are we getting paid for this?
If you find and burn the witch within a month, you get 3,000 cash.
Okay.
Each.
Back in game. This might be more expensive.
That is something you can take up with the mayor once you've found the witch. Mateo or Gillin gonna do anything with the cat?
I think I would more join in with Renny, kind of asking her, Renny, is there something? What more would you want to? Would you require? I know that in the past when we worked together, our dwelling and food, you've had requests. I wonder, is there perhaps an upgrade we could request from our Petra here? Something that she can help us with.
Petra looks at you all, kind of, expecting something to be asked of her.
I suppose I would ask Petra, what is exactly your role here in Bridge of St. Cleareyes?
I'm the notary here. I serve on the council. I help to guide and govern the city. I advise the mayor. I oversee official documents. It's in my name, Inksblood. The Inksbloods have always had a hand in such official matters.
Very noble. Since you have such pull, it would be lovely to have you on our side during such negotiations. Would that be something you would be amenable to?
I'm sorry, in what negotiations?
Payment.
I think that if you are able to find this witch quickly and with a minimum of fuss, the mayor would be amenable to discussing the possibility of a bonus.
Subtle we can do. Thank you. You are most helpful.
I live to serve, and I very much want this witch caught.
I interrupt. Can we go see the wheat now, please?
If you are done here.
Yes, we're finished here. We would like to move along.
This way then. And she leads you out. And she leads you towards a sort of storehouse, like a warehouse type thing along, just nondescript red building, and brings you in. And the storehouse looks emptier than it should be. There's, boxes and crates that are here and there, but they're largely empty. And a pull it up here. A man wearing a very nice, very fancy suit, at odds with his very wild hair, hops up when Petra walks in. Oh, Petra, oh, you must be here to see the ruined crops.
Briefly, actually, we can backtrack. When she turns and starts leading us out of the room, I'm gonna hang behind for like half a second and collect some hair from the cat.
Okay.
And then just trail behind them like I usually do.
Are you trying to be surreptitious about this, or you don't care if the okay? Well, then you're gonna have to roll.
I'm okay with that. This is definitely only just a single die.
Yeah.
9 again. I'm gonna stop rolling that die because I think it's cheating for me.
Don't Don't stop rolling that die.
So a 9 is a success with no stress. So you are able to kind of linger just a moment, and you see the young man who's working in the mortuary is more interested in trying to get like the fish out because it smells so much worse. It has left the cat there, and you're able to, take out a small dagger or maybe a pair of scissors if you have those. Just cut off a little fur.
Yep.
Pocket that. No one even notices you were lingering.
I tend to trail behind the group anyway, so then I'll just follow them.
So to the storehouse, and the man in the very nice, over-tailored suit, frankly, with his wild hair, looks and says, "You must be here to see the ruined crops, I suppose."
Yes, and I step forward. That is a wonderful suit.
Thank you. It's not perhaps the latest fashion. Don't make it to the city as much as I might like, but I wanted to put on something nice to welcome you all.
Well, we appreciate it more than you know. What can you tell us?
Sorry.
Oh, please.
You were surprised to see us, and yet you were expecting us.
I didn't know
Who were you expecting to arrive first?
I don't know. I didn't know where you
Why
would
did
go
we
first.
surprise you when we entered the room?
It's a bit intimidating to see you all. Are you trying to intimidate this man, Gillin?
The righteous have no reason to fear. It's not overt intimidation.
Okay. He looks a little confused and put on the spot. Not quite sure what to say. Obviously, it's not every day you meet a group of Witchburners, and there have been several things going wrong, and I didn't know if perhaps you'd rather see them in the field.
Is there a difference seeing them in the field?
They look the same to me, but I don't know anything about witches or magic. I don't know if it's different for you in the field.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, Gorin Warglory, and he bows. I am the clerk for our for Victoria. She. Let me pull up the name here. Sorry. It's for Victoria Townsman. She is she's the store master for the city. I'm a clerk. I assist her.
So you must know a lot about the city. You must know everyone. I'm using my charm.
All right. So yeah, go ahead and make a roll for me. See how well that succeeds. And what is your aim with this? Are you
to get
trying...
him? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to get him to like me and tell me everything he knows.
All right. So if you have any other skills or domains that are applicable, you can add for those. Otherwise, it's just the one die for charm.
So I have this domain of war that's about family clashes. Does that have to do? Could I plausibly say that has to do with like wanting to know what's going on in the town?
I don't think it's applicable here because you're not investigating a family clash or bringing one up and trying to use it to your advantage.
Okay. Interesting. I've got an 8.
An 8. So I believe an 8 is also a clear success. Yeah, success with no stress. So he looks absolutely charmed. You know, you flattered him. You told him his suit was nice. You've implied he's big and important in the town and in the city. And he puffs himself up and says, "Well, most people, that is, anyone worth knowing. Yes, I know them. Many people store all kinds of things in the storehouses, and I'm second only to Victoria herself with running the warehouses and such. So I have a bit of influence."
So usually people think they know who it is. Who does everybody think it is?
Okay. Excellent. I get to do some different kind of rolling here. He pauses for a moment and thinks. And he can tell that you really want him to provide a name. So he thinks for a moment. And he glances at Petra, who kind of just stares at him. And he gets a little bit closer to you. And he says, well, I have to think a bit about, well, you know, who might be disgruntled, who's shifty in town, who would have a grudge, who would want to cause us trouble. And well, I have my suspicions about the tinker, about Ivan Clockmaker. I have some suspicions about him.
I would like to roll insight.
Okay. So, is this another?
And not just if he's telling the truth, but like try to get a sense of what his motivations behind being the tinker are.
Okay. Roll for me.
8.
8. Guess what I rolled?
Oh, a 1.
I did roll a 1. All right. So that is fun. All right. Okay, so we're equal. I have to actually be lower, so it looks like. So you don't risk fallout yet. Not until you get to 2 stress do you risk fallout. So an 8 is a success with no stress. Holly is here to say hello, apparently. And as you examine his face as he leans into Renny to implicate this man, Ivan Clockmaker, the town tinker, he really does kind of dislike Ivan, you think. That feels very genuine, and that he believes that Ivan is shifty and possibly suspicious. And if somebody did have a grudge towards the town or towards people in the town, that it could be him. Don't know if it's enough to implicate him as a witch, but it certainly means that Ivan doesn't have as many friends as he maybe should.
And I want to follow up with one more question. And who is the one? Who's the biggest one going after the witches?
What do you mean?
Who's the one? Who's the one who's the one you would suspect the least?
Oh, the least likely to be a witch. Well, he thinks for a moment. I'm going to roll again. And he says, I think probably the doctor's husband, Jonah Prizepiece, as in the opposite of war, Prizepiece. Says, he's such a nervous wreck. I can't see him like holding himself together long enough to cause anyone actual harm.
Okay. Thank you. It's true what you said.
Oh.
You do know the people here. Can we see the wheat now?
Oh, of course, yes. Thanks. And he takes you over to the crate where the lid's been knocked off of it. And there is black wheat and bleeding, weeping pumpkin carcass inside of there.
We're going to need to take some of this to inspect it later. And I nod to Robin.
I'm going to
of course.
inspect it before I take some.
Okay.
Roll.
What roll are you making?
Study, using my domain.
Okay.
That's a 6.
All right. What happens on a 6? So a 6 is a success at a cost. You take stress. So take another stress to your mind. You now have 2 stress in the mind. Puts you at risk for fallout, which for our viewers is when bad things can happen in the resistance system. So you take a look at it and you dig through it, and it's weird, it's strange for sure. You've never seen wheat turn black like this. Do you touch it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course you do. You touch it and it feels powdery. It like falls apart in your hand, but it leaves almost an oily residue behind on your fingers, and it's black, like soot across your hand.
I'm gonna look at the pumpkin as well.
Looking at the pumpkin, it they're not fully ripe, the pumpkins, which is odd because they should be. This late in fall, they should be definitely ripe, maybe even some of them past ripe. And especially this far up in the mountains when the growing season is shorter than it is down in the plains. It's not grown to full there. It's still too pale, kind of greenish at the ends, and it's like the skin is just split. Like it did not have enough moisture inside of it the way a gourd should, and the skin just like shriveled and cracked from the inside. And the insides, instead of being that firm flesh, are mostly liquid and are oozing.
I'm going to pull a little leather case from a pouch and open it up, and it has glass vials in it.
Okay.
And I'm going to collect some of the wheat into one, and some of the whatever the liquid that's oozing from the pumpkin into another, and I'm going to put it back.
Excellent. All right. What is Mateo doing while Robin is continuing to study and collect samples?
I think I would kind of address Goran and ask him if he knew which field the crops grew in.
Well, it's all of them. Everyone growing wheat and pumpkins around the whole valley, all around. These particular ones came from let me pull a name here for you. There are quite a few names. These particular ones came from the fields belonging to the Changemakers. The Changemaker estate.
I see. And you said all fields that grow pumpkins and wheat?
Yeah, all the farmers who grow pumpkins and wheat, which is pretty much all the farmers, I think.
There wasn't one that was saved?
No.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So it's the pumpkin and the wheat for everyone, but when anyone who grows more than those two crops, what of their other crops?
Well, they up here normal. There's not. We don't grow too much else other than we. There's some squash, and the summer crops were fine. You know, and the spring ones we had some berries. They turned out just fine. You know, leafy greens. I think few people grow potatoes, and they're fine. But those are mostly just like, you know, just gardens people have in the city, around their house, around the town. You know, not necessarily like the big fields, the farming. Pumpkins and wheat are what we eat in Bridge.
We need to see the farms.
And Petra speaks up with me and says, "We can take you out to the farms tomorrow. It's growing dark now. But yes, that can definitely be arranged."
Is there anything else we can do tonight before the dark falls?
Well, she says, "I'd be happy to take you on a little tour of the town, introduce you to some of the major people, do some drinking at the end, of course."
Of course.
All right, so we're going to call that afternoon watch done. And we're going to go to the evening watch. And we're going to make this a little more cinematic in the interest of time. So Petra offers to take you on a boozy tour of the town, essentially. And she starts you off at the inn, which is the inn is the Cinder House Inn, and she introduces you to Ursula Cinderdaughter, who is a woman with dark skin and ash-colored hair, dark eyes. Her lips are quite red. She has gotten her hands on some very excellent makeup from the city, and she is the innkeeper. Um, so you're introduced to Ursula Cinderdaughter and her family, her wife and daughter, her wife and son. You meet a couple of the other council members there. You meet the town priest, David Sling Strider. You meet as well call him the exiled justice, and that is Oleg Waterwatcher. He's a town stranger. No, he comes from other cities. It's a third leg of governance in a city, basically. He's quiet. He wears a turban that kind of identifies him and his office because it's a turban that's stained with his own blood and with the ash and soot of where he was tattooed in public in the town square a couple of years ago, as tattooed with symbols to mark him as an exiled justice. And he now wears that as a turban with an ivory pin, holding it in place. He studies you quietly.
I'm quiet.
Right. And she'll take you around to a couple of the other major establishments as well, like the blacksmith and a couple other places, the big dairy. I have a question for you guys. Do you drink? How much do you drink?
Quite a bit.
Okay.
I only have water. And I only drink the water I brought with me.
Single glass.
I'll take a sip anywhere we go to be polite. Very much I think my domain is bureaucracy, so I know enough not to raise alarm, but not enough to get toasty.
Okay. So,
To be clear, I drink quite a bit, but I hold it pretty well.
okay.
I don't get sloppy.
All right. So then I'm gonna have you all make rolls then. So Robin, Mateo, and Gillin, you guys are gonna need to make a roll using whatever skills and domains, perhaps ability you have that is relevant to politely refusing, because only having one drink or only having a sip at every place you go to, um, people expect you to have like most of a drink everywhere you go. But if you have skills, domains, abilities to convince people that, hey, I'm just being polite. I don't want to get super drunk on my first night in the town. Make that roll. And Ramen, you're gonna make this roll at a penalty because it's difficult. So I'm taking a die away from your pool. And then Renny, you're gonna make a roll basically just to see how well you hold your liquor.
I actually don't even politely decline. I just ignore them when they offer it. I'm not even going to roll. I fail
Okay.
it.
You are going to take 2 stress to your goodwill.
Sure.
As a
Can I
result of
step
that.
in? Actually, I think that I would step in and talk his way out of it. Say, oh no, he gets really weird when he drinks. It's fine. It's all right. We're gonna drink together and have a great night.
Do you have a relevant skill or domain, Renny?
Yes,
What do you
I
have?
do. I have. Oh, it's an ability. Does that
What's the ability?
lie smoothly? And honest face.
So, honest face allows you to create bonds, which isn't here. In order to help someone, you would need to have a relevant skill or domain to help Robin's role.
Well, my relevant skill is charm.
Okay.
Which is a style of manipulation.
Okay. So then, Robin, you can make a roll with 1 die.
1.
Why do I bother?
I was gonna say
Critical
I
failure,
was
double stress.
perfectly happy taking the stress.
Yeah. So you're taking both of you because you helped. You put yourself at risk for taking stress as well, Renny. So you both take 2 stress to your goodwill.
And I just put our story of my life.
I actually laugh when it fails horribly. Like,
all right, Mateo, Gillin, what is the results of your roll, and Renny, what's the result of your roll to hold your alcohol?
Okay, so is it 1d10?
Unless you have more relevant skills or domains.
No, I don't think I can't. I don't think I can work that. So we're gonna go with
Do
1.
1. Okay.
And I got a 1.
Okay.
It's a great night.
Yeah, take 2 stress to your body.
So that's 4.
2.
Okay.
2 to
Because I had 2.
and 2 to body.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I got a 7. I rolled 2 because I have the bureaucracy domain.
Mhm.
So I think I'd be able to pretty much figure out, a good cutoff point, or maybe mask it, like sip, pretend to be drinking.
Yeah, so success at a cost. So you do not upset the townspeople. So you're not going to take stress to your goodwill, but you are going to take stress to your mind because it is real stressful having to balance the goodwill of all of these new people. So just 1 stress, but
Okay.
no one is upset or offended. And Gillin?
I'm using charm, and that my top roll is a 9. So
success with no stress. So people respect you. As a religious person, you're able to, well, the gods don't want me to. I'm here on a mission, a holy mission. Don't want to, put anything in my way that would hamper my ability to do that. And they completely believe it. So you have 1 drink, and someone gives you a nice earthenware mug, and you just take that with you from place to place to show that you are drinking and you're enjoying the hospitality of the town, but you're staying at 1. All right. And we are going to call that the evening watch done. All right. And then it is now night watch. Do you choose to sleep or do you choose to stay up, knowing that there are penalties to not sleeping?
Is it possible to stay up for part of the evening without taking a penalty?
No. It's all or nothing. Got to get them 8 hours, Ian.
Man, I'm just like, I'm basically in my pajamas at this point. I'm like, y'all, I don't care what you're doing. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm like, you're gonna gotta get out of here because gotta get my 8 hours, like she said.
Are we staying at the Cinder House Inn?
Unless you have some reason you would want to stay elsewhere, there have been rooms set aside for you.
Excellent. Sounds great. I think I will leave the fish outside. I'm gonna hide it. I'm gonna look around kind of surreptitiously before everyone is kind of getting ready for bed. Go outside and see if there's like a bush or somewhere that I can hide this fish in, because I don't want to sleep with this fish.
I don't know that you can hide that, Mateo. They might not be able to see it, but
So if you're
they'll
trying
know
to be,
it's there.
yeah, they could smell it for sure. But if you're trying to be sneaky, you could roll for that.
Okay. Cool. I got a 5.
Okay, so a 5 is a failure, so you're gonna take stress.
Okay. Stinky fish is stressing me out.
I think while you attempt to go out, you're smart enough to think, okay, I should go out the back with this stinky fish. I shouldn't, let them see me just go out the front there. I think Ursula's wife sees you leaving and kind of judges you a bit for it. So her name is Anya Baronsget. And you know that name, Baronsget, any last name that ends in get, Get, they're a bastard.
Okay.
So she's doing pretty well for herself, marrying an innkeeper, one of the movers and shakers of the town. But yeah, Anya spots you and says, uh, did you need us to dispose of that for you?
I'm afraid this is official Witchburner business, but I didn't want the smell to taint this fair inn. It's so wonderful here. Just so relaxing.
Hmm. She gives you a very tight smile. Says, I could take care of that for you, I suppose. And like, kind of reluctantly holds her hands out for it.
I wouldn't keep it inside, madam.
Yes, I'm not going to.
We will need it in the morning.
I'll make sure it's safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to give a little bow and do my best to be cordial. And then on the way up the stairs, just like, shit.
You're gonna take one stress to your goodwill.
Okay.
Stressing the goodwill of the people, bringing stinky fish into the inn. All right. Let me make a note of that. All right. So that is the first day in Bridge of Town. The town of Bridge, St. Cleareyes. And the second day dawns. There's a lot of fog when you wake up in the morning. And I think as you go down to get breakfast, a townsperson approaches you all. Let's see who that is. So a short man with just like a walrus looking mustache um walks towards you and kind of sniffing, like his nose just seems to be like permanently running, and he holds out a basket towards you that smells wonderful, of just like roasted meat. Smells amazing. And he sets it down gently on the table in front of you and bows quite low, and then comes up and says, "My lord Witchburners, my lords Witchburners, I'm so glad you're here. There's just been so many calamities in this town. It's wonderful to have you here. There was a new calamity yesterday. I don't know if anyone told you, but the townspeople in our gardens, they were red snails. They reeked of brimstone that just appeared everywhere. And I've brought you this gift of a baked goose for you. And I also carry a second gift." And he kind of eyes you all nervously.
We're very glad to have made your acquaintance, good sir. What is your name?
Ivan Clockmaker. I have a bit of a tinkering business. I'm quite gifted, very good at things. May I approach you? Yes, thank you. And he
Please.
comes and he says, I just wanted to give you a little hint, a little clue, perhaps, that could help. Uh, some years ago, I heard that Peppy Olson, the cook here at the end, Peppy, I heard that he had dabbled in witchcraft.
I'm gonna roll insight.
Okay, roll for it.
I'm just gonna sniff the goose.
It smells amazing.
I can tell.
Like roasted with like rosemary, and it's stuffed with like an orange, which is just an extravagant expense this time of year in this part of the country. So you got an 8, you said, Ian?
Yeah.
Insight. So read me the description for insight?
Certainly. Insight is knowing the reasons behind words and actions.
The reasons. He's a shifty man. I didn't know two ways about it. He's a shifty, gross man. He has heard this rumor though.
Okay.
And you all make everyone nervous.
Do I feel like he's telling us because he's trying to shift our attention to the cook, or because he believes the rumor he heard?
It's hard to know if he actually believes the rumor. Probably he did not believe it when he heard it the first time. I will tell you that he does not know that his name has been floated to you, so he's not trying to shift blame away from himself because he doesn't know that there's interest or blame on him.
Okay. All right. So it's not. It feels like an honest passing along of information, not malicious, even though he himself is very shifty.
Yes.
Okay. I will look. I would like to roll again real quick, and I would like to inspect the goose and see if there's anything off about it other than
all right.
the extravagance of the gift. That is a 7.
7. That's interesting. What I rolled as well.
Oh, that's definitely higher than my stress.
Yeah, for now. So 7 is success at a cost. So how are you going to examine the goose?
I'm gonna like pull whatever's covering it away from the basket and literally just kind of like poke, like look at it, smell it a little closer, pull a piece of meat off and taste it.
It's
I look
very...
at him. I'm so sorry. I look at him with the look like, find out if we can eat this thing because I'm real hungry.
I'm just like,
It's very hot. It burns your tongue pretty bad.
Okay.
Take one stress to your body.
There we go.
But it tastes delicious. Like, it is juicy. It's got that faint hint of rosemary and citrus going through it.
Nothing seems
off at all.
Nothing.
It seems like an incredibly well-cooked goose.
I just look at Renny and I smile. Sit back.
So I lean forward and I say, thank you so much. May I taste this?
Of course, please. It's yours. Enjoy it.
And I dig right in.
Especially with the cook here. Perhaps suspicious.
Oh, I'm like have half a mouth. Then he's like talking with the cook, and I stop. I'm like, well, I'm in it now. So I go and
well, he's referring to the cook at the inn. The goose he brought you was not cooked at the inn.
Even still, I'm just like, super squirrely, trying not to act weird.
I'll just kind of slowly take the goose and just start carving it with a large knife and just kind of passing pieces to everyone.
Thank you, Mateo.
Is it possible for me to ask Robin a question without anyone hearing?
You can roll for that.
Sure.
Unless you want to try and get him to the side somehow.
Do you care if Gillin and Mateo here?
I do. Okay. Hey, so I'm gonna try it. And I'm like, this is amazing. Can you save this for us? I forgot something in our room. Can we go talk for a minute, Robin?
I just get up and follow. Shuffle along.
All right, so Robin and Renny head up to the room. Mateo and Gillin, you notice that Ivan suddenly like stiffens and turns by your leave and like starts to like shuffle very quickly towards the door, and you see Anya, followed closely by Ursula, are coming around the corner saying, "You're not welcome here, Ivan. Get out!" And they're yelling at him, and he's, I'm sorry, and is like running out the end.
Do we hear that?
You might hear it as you're walking up the stairs. You can hear some of it behind you. Yeah.
I actually stop and I like look back.
Yeah. And I turn to him.
Yeah. Ivan's scurrying out the door.
Okay, and I turn to Robin because we're alone now, right?
Yeah, you're the only ones on right here for the moment.
Did he seem magical, do you think? No, okay. What do you think?
It's too early to tell.
Okay. Okay.
Mateo and Gillin, do you have any reaction to Ivan being chased out by Ursula and Anya?
I'm going to immediately start packing the goose back into the basket, the pieces I've cut, just kind of dumping them back into the basket, just covering them up and just looking like, oh, that guy, terrible.
I think Anya takes a look and says, "Oh, that did he bring that to you?"
Yes, yes, he did. An offering. People do this sometimes with Witchburners.
Right. Yes. Well, we do want you to find the witch. We're so grateful you're here. Um,
May
he's a
I
weaselly.
ask what he did?
He's just a weasel of a man, an
Hmm.
absolute weasel. Twitchy, and if he wasn't so very good at making clocks and such things, and if it wasn't for his wife, well, don't think he'd be welcome anywhere in the town. But
Who was his wife?
Lana Staffsend. She's the kind of the matriarch of all the merchants in town. If well, we don't have anything so organized as a merchants guild, but if we did, she'd be the head of it, and she's one of the counselors. So he got lucky in his marriage. Um, and Ursula says, "Well, some people do get lucky," and it's very cute. She like puts an arm around Anya, pops a kiss on top of her head, says, and then Ursula says, "Well, I don't much care for him bringing food into my establishment that sells food, but that goose smells amazing, and I won't begrudge you a gift."
Well, we did, of course, mean to order breakfast. Gillin, did you want breakfast?
Yes, I do believe breakfast would do us some good.
So I turn to Robin on the stairs and I say, did he say he had something else for us in addition to the goose? All right. Do you want to go back down? Let's go and talk to Mateo and Gillin. Okay. So we go back and join our party at the table.
All right. They're being served breakfast, and we're gonna call this the end of the morning watch. So we're now into the afternoon watch. You can still be here discussing. We're just got to keep time flowing.
I Robin will actually, having overheard part of that conversation, say said he had something else for us. Him and meet. Also meet.
So the other thing that he had for you was the tip about Peppy.
Okay.
Peppy old
Oh,
gnome
got
that
it. Okay. Okay, so we're not sure he's the witch. Doesn't feel right. That feels more like, because I caught part of that conversation too. That feels more like a vendetta, like a personal vendetta than any sort of evidence. What do you all think?
He is the first one who's come to us with a name without us asking for it first.
That's true.
And you did have to drag his name out of Gorin.
Although volunteering a name can also be a way to throw suspicion off oneself.
You're not wrong.
But also, he seems maligned in this town. They might have
Mhm.
driven him out years ago. I'm more interested in his wife than in him.
I'd like to see these snails.
Yes, and the fields. We still haven't seen the fields.
I want to ask Gillin, had you ever seen someone with marks like Petra's before? Seems very intense.
They're There are rare breeds, those who observe the Trinity, but take them onto their own flesh. They're not common, but they are important pillars of the faithful community. We don't know why we've encountered so few, aside from the sheer amount of commitment that it takes in order to inscribe the Trinity onto your flesh. I suppose a dark town that's ill-fated might be the place that faith grows stronger than one's reluctance to inflict pain on themselves.
Interesting. Thank you for your insight.
Of course.
All right. And where would you all like to go?
Well, we have the fields, the snails, the child.
We'd also express interest in meeting Ivan Clockmaker's wife, Lena Staffson.
Yes.
If we could do check out the snails and his wife, then maybe head out of town to see the fields. We have time.
Sounds good.
All right. So you were told that the snails were showing up in pretty much everyone's garden in the entire town. So everyone who's got a garden, which is mostly everyone, has got some kind of garden, and they're all practical gardens, but some of them also have ornamental elements to them as well. The bigger, richer houses have ornamental gardens is alongside their like practical household vegetable and herb gardens. So if you wanted to do two birds, one stone, you could just go straight to where Ivan and Lena live and check out their garden.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So you approach their house. Their house is called the Westerner. It's a very, like stout, solid kind of house, like big, heavy beams propping up the roof. It's like pine, that kind of it's slurdy. It's like a very sturdy slate roof on there. There's a small like workshop you can see kind of around the back. That must be where Ivan does his work. And you can see in the garden, you can see several young women, the youngest of whom looks like in her like very early 20s. But there's four young women. They're just kind of digging through the garden and making like disgusted faces, and one of them like picks up something and throws it at the others, who like scream and run.
I'm gonna walk right where they are.
They are basically they're playing. Like you get an element, they're kind of disturbed by what's going on, but they're not really noticing you.
Not going to acknowledge them. I see snails.
Yeah, they're mostly dead at this point. You see a lot of like smashed, and they're red snails, like red as paint, and there's that smell of sulfur and brimstone hovering in the air around them. And you notice there's a lot of hairy caterpillars too. Also, like most of them still alive, but you see some squashed ones as well, and they're big, and like their hair is long, and they are just as red as the snails.
I will collect one of each dead snail and one of the caterpillars and put them into glass vials. But I'm also going to try to find a living.
That would take some doing.
I'll roll study. I don't mind.
As you get into the garden there and start digging around, I think the young women will notice you at that point. So you can go ahead and roll for that. And all four of these young women stop and just like stare at you all. Oh, hello? And they are clearly
Greetings,
sisters.
children.
Clearly sisters, all four of them. And
I rolled a 9.
A 9. Okay. So yeah, you do find one. It's smaller than the rest and kind of like hidden under a bush, but you are able, like crawling around, able to find one that they missed.
I'm gonna pick it up. Inspect it.
All right. So come to you. So Gillin, you say hello, and they all four just kind of stare back at you. There's one who is clearly beautiful, one who's quite pretty, one who just looks at you with kind of like dull glazed eyes, like she's not super paying attention. There's one that's very, very strong, like huge muscle. She was the one who was throwing what you now realize is the snails with her bare hands at the other three. And then there's one who looks like very serious and quiet, very wise eyes, and she has an unusual large red birthmark on her neck. And it's her who finally finds her voice and says, "Hello? Are you the Witchburners?"
We are. Are you the clockmaker? The clockmaker children?
"Yes, we are." And she, Zenobia, and points to her sisters in turn, Sissy, Jennifer, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is the very like dull kind of not fully there one. Jennifer is the one who's very strong and is beautiful, and Sissy is quite pretty, and then Zenobia is the serious one with like the wise eyes and the red birthmark on her neck.
Zenobia, what do you make of all of these ill omens?
She like stops and she looks around at them and says, "They scare me. I don't like that there's a witch in town. I'm worried about the winter. There's most of our crops died, and now they're coming after our kitchen gardens too. It's frightening." "But you're gonna help with that, right?"
Of
She looks
course.
a little desperate when she says that. "Oh,
Of course.
we'll help however we can, right? Right?" She turns to her sisters who all nod. And Jennifer, the strong one, says she actually like flexes. Says, "Just let me know if you need help."
You seem quite strong, Jennifer.
"Thanks. I'm hoping I can join the city guard. I train with Krista sometimes. You know, when she lets me. Says I'm not old enough yet, but I'm an adult."
It's a worthy goal. Tell me, did you suffer any ill effects from handling the creatures?
You can see that is only just now occurring to her that she might. And she stares at her hands and says, no. Oh, my heart beating really fast. I think my heart's beating really fast. I need to go wash my hands." And she just like takes off to the house.
Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there with like a snail in the palm of my hand. Just looking at it. Like,
Yep. Yeah, you've got the snail. It's red as paint. It smells of brimstone, but it otherwise looks like normal snail. It leaves a slight mucusy trail on your hand. It's got its little feelers out looking for leaves. Mateo, Renny, what are you guys doing?
I think I'll also kind of go digging in the garden with Robin. Look and see what kind of if they're going for certain crops, if there's residue, maybe where they're coming from?
The caterpillars are definitely going for the rose hips, which is a plant that's both ornamental and has a practical purpose. You can make tea out of rose hips, especially. There's It's a popular tea with those who like to read tea leaves, tell fortunes, kind of thing. Um, but that they're definitely going for that. The snails seem to be on anything that has leaves, or they were on anything that has leaves. It's a little hard to tell now that they're all crushed except for the one that Robin has.
I'll just kind of lean over to Robin. Are you going to keep that?
For now.
Good.
Just kind of cup my hand around it so people don't see that I'm carrying one around, but I just hold on to it.
Excellent. I think Sissy, the very beautiful one, she says, I can go get our parents. And she just kind of like backs away and leaves, and comes back momentarily, followed by Ivan and a woman who you assume is Lena Staffsend. She is huge. She's taller than just about any man you've ever met. Uh, and she's just full of like lean, sinewy muscle, starting to go gray. And they both look at you and says, "Welcome, Witchburners. What can we do for you?"
Well, we came to thank Ivan for the lovely gift this morning. I assume we also have you to thank as well, Lana.
Lana shoots a look at her husband, who just kind of like doesn't quite meet her gaze. Says, "Of course."
Most gracious.
I smirk. But I'm
We
kind of looking at my
appreciate it.
shoes again. It's listening to the conversation.
Well, we're very glad to have you and hope you can resolve this quickly. What can we do for you?
We had some
How can we help?
questions.
Of course.
It seems that you are people who know a lot about this town. Who do you think's doing this? I'm talking right to Lena.
Lena, she looks a little uncomfortable at first, but she says, "Well, there are some characters."
Yes, I'm
And
rolling insight again.
all right. She thinks for a moment, and then she shoots a look at her daughter, at Jennifer, and then looks back and says, "I don't know about that guard captain." And Jennifer protests, says, "No, Mom!" But Lena just holds up and says, "I don't know about that guard captain. She's never been the same since she came back from war. I don't know what she might have learned."
I rolled an 8.
An 8. With success. Clear success, no stress. Sad for me. Lena does not know about the guard captain. She did come back from war changed, and changed in ways in which are unsettling and frightening. And Lena does not fully trust her, and has not since she came back.
I'll actually speak.
Ooh.
What about before she left?
I mean, I grew up with her. We're both from here. You know, she was always serious and very practical. You know, could appreciate that. I'm a businesswoman. I appreciate women who keep their head out of the clouds. Uh, Always strong. Always wanted to serve. But she came back and it's like she doesn't have a heart anymore. Like it's made of ice.
Thank you.
Interesting.
I think at this I'll probably like kind of look down at my shoes. Yeah.
War does change people, though. It's not their fault necessarily.
Right. She's not the only one who's changed, but she's the only one who doesn't act like a person anymore.
When did she return?
Oh, shortly after it ended, about 2 years ago, with everyone else.
So no delay. A direct return to the community that she
As
protected.
far as I'm aware, yeah, she brought the new woman, the deputy, with her. She's been didn't know her before, but she's done well as the deputy. Seems trustworthy. And brought back her gardener. It was her family gardener. He went to war too. Served not as her gardener, but like you know, so he was also serving, and now he works as a gardener for her family. He came back too, and he's a little quieter. But he changed too, but he's still a person. He's still Gilbert. Krista though, I don't know.
Thank you, Lena.
Of
This
course.
is most useful.
Thank you.
If y'all need anything else, it's getting. She looks up. It's getting starting a little dark now. Gets dark early this time of year.
When did you notice the snails and the caterpillars arrive?
Well, snails were yesterday. Caterpillars are today.
Hmm.
She looks over with disgust and like crushes one under her toes.
You mentioned a gardener.
The Chris's gardener, Gilbert, the changemaker gardener.
Where can we find them?
Well, Krista stays. She doesn't live at her family estate. She stays at the captain's house. Guard captain house. It's where the guard captain lives. But Gilbert lives at the changemaker estate, up in the attic, I think.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Of course.
May I suggest a ring of salt around anything you want to protect?
Salt. Is that a thing against witches, or is that just a thing against? Well, these are snails, not slugs, but.
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah, very true. All right. Ivan, get some salt. And he just scurries off.
I turn to her. Lena, did you not know that he brought us a gift?
She heaves a bit of a sigh. He floated the idea, didn't know he actually did it, but I trust it was an excellent goose.
It was. It was. Why do you think he did that?
Did he give it to you, or did he give it to all of you?
All of us.
I don't know why that man does anything that he does. But we are all glad that you are here. And we look forward to working with you and having your help find this witch.
Thank you. We will definitely find it. So I turn to the group. Would you like to go?
We should find the fields before it gets dark and then return. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So we are calling this an end to the afternoon watch, though, because we got to keep time moving. So it is getting dark. You could go out to the fields, but with evening, it will be dark and it will be hard to see, but you can still go out and see if you can see anything.
Go talk to the guard captain.
Yeah, let's do the fields tomorrow. Keep it in town.
Yes.
You guys head over towards Captain's house. It's a small, very nondescript kind of row house. You have to like stop and ask directions a couple of times because it just looks like everything else. But it's one on the end. And there's no garden here. It's very much a very practical, like small one-story row home on the end there. Slightly bigger than the ones in the middle. Dark color, same color as all the rest. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Outside of it, you do see some light coming from the windows.
I just go right up and knock on the door.
It takes just a moment, and the door opens to a stick-thin woman of average height with one eye and an eye patch. She's got a gold amulet around her neck that disappears down into her very official-looking uniform. It's kind of a casual uniform. There's no armor or anything. It's just like a smart, tailored kind of outfit. And did we get raided, or is Josephine just here? Hi, Josephine. The woman just looks at you all and says, "Hi, Witchburners must be."
Yes, hi. I'm Renny. We're gathering information. We thought you, of all the people in the town, would know the most about what's been going on.
Oh, well, I don't know if I know the most, but I'm happy to work with you. Please come in.
Thank you.
She steps to the side, opens the door, and allows you in. It is just fastidiously clean inside. It's pretty much bare to the drawing room that she leads you in. There's very little decoration, almost no personality. The only thing you see are 13 portraits lining the walls. They're very large, expensive looking portraits of soldiers.
I'm gonna walk over and look at the portraits. I still have the snail, by the way. I'm carrying it around in my hands.
All right.
Does it smell?
It smells faintly of brimstone. When you get up close to it, you can definitely smell it. If you're standing next to Robin, you might get a whiff. There aren't enough seats for all of you.
I stand.
I'll stand as well.
Chris also stands, kind of a little bit like loosely at attention.
We don't want to keep you. We've been talking to people all day. A lot of people said that you really know what's going on in this town, and that, with the job that you do, that you kind of have a good idea. We just wanted to see, do you have an idea of who you think might be doing this, or know of any more information that we might need to have?
She hesitates for a moment and says, "Well, I haven't seen any particular evidence. I haven't seen anything particularly strange about anyone."
Oh, I see. You've seen the evidence of the witch, though.
Well, I've seen what others have seen. I've seen the snails and the caterpillars today, and I saw the fish. I heard of the cat, didn't go to see it myself. Don't need to, thank you, but I heard of it.
Yeah, I'd skip it if I were you.
I plan to.
What are these towns?
Please.
I'm just going to start talking a little shop with her. Like, what are your defenses like?
She launches into kind of pretty eagerly. She's glad about this change of conversation. She says, "Well, defenses are mostly natural defenses. Our location up here in the valley, but there are bandits that kind of rove through the mountains that hit the town every so often. It's not a walled city. We've been trying to push that we should have maybe a wall, but no one will go for that. We get lots of travelers through here during the summer season when it's easier to get through the mountain pass." She talks about like there's regular patrols, and she drills her people pretty hard, you could tell, as if it was still wartime. But she's like really like, this is the most she's heard her talk at once. Like she's not hesitant at all to discuss these kinds of things.
While they're so sorry. While they're talking, I'm inspecting the room. Just walking around looking, just very casually looking at everything.
It's very Spartan. It's incredibly clean. It looks like it's probably cleaned twice a day. Like you can't find any dust. You can't really find any dirt except what you've tracked in yourselves, which makes you feel maybe a little bit guilty. The portraits, as you get close to them, they're very large. They're probably 2 feet tall. And they are very detailed. They're painted with great skill. They are very expensive commissioned portraits of 13 people, and as you look at them, they're all wearing military uniforms. There's various ages and genders, and you can kind of piece together from looking at their like regalia that they were probably all the same unit, probably all in Krista's unit.
I'll just continue to engage her in distracting tactical conversation, and then just kind of watch Renny and Gillin and Robin to see if they need more time
And
at
she
all.
probably ferrets out pretty quickly as you were also a soldier and you also served. And she asks, what unit were you? Where were you stationed? What did you do? The kind of building that camaraderie there.
I'll tell as much as I feel comfortable with that, I was.
Yeah, she doesn't ask the uncomfortable questions because she's a woman who clearly knows better.
Sure. Yeah. I'll still be a slightly cagey, but
She
yeah,
lets it go.
I'll
She doesn't push at all.
Okay.
I'll wait for a moment in the conversation and then say I'm very sorry to interrupt. We don't have very much time. You seem like a very practical person.
Yeah, my apologies. I wasn't want to waste your time. I know you're on a time constraint here.
I want to know, do you think that there's really a witch doing all of this?
Yes, there must be. Of course there's a witch. Like, what else would be causing all of this? You saw the fish.
We did see the fish. We did.
Do you mind if I ask you a tactical question, guard captain?
Of course.
If the witch were attacking the community, what do you suppose their next move would be?
And she stops and considers for a moment. Says, well, that would depend on their goals, of course. If they wanted to just sow as much chaos as possible, it would be very difficult, but it seems a bit methodical so far with the last few attacks have attacked the gardens and our crops and ensured that it will be a very, very difficult winter for all of us. If that was their goal, to starve us out, then probably something with our ability to hunt, since they've taken fishing and agriculture from us. Maybe attacking the warehouses and our stored supplies. If they wanted to hurt people, they've come after a child at least once, so could see more of that. That really would break morale. Could, if they wanted to take over, perhaps attacking those in charge. It's difficult to say without motive, without knowing their goals and objectives, but I would think that this is showing a clear trajectory of at least of trying to starve us out, which will break people.
Thank you.
Of course. Is there anything else I can offer you? You can tell that it's getting kind of late now. Like it's well and truly dark out there. She's given you tea, but she hasn't offered any food. She did break out some nice alcohol to offer once she figured out that Mateo and Gillin were former soldiers as well. So
I think I would take a drink to be polite and just kind of. I think we have what we came for. Yes, fellows.
I would like to know where is the livestock?
she points you towards, there's a couple of dairies in town. The cheesemaker's got, pretty sizable herd there. There's some sheep that kind of just like rove with shepherds out that, come in. It's not a big livestock area. Mostly they're at the dairy, and then there's like the one herd of sheep.
Okay. Thank you.
course. Anything to help. I'd like order, and I would like it very much to be returned.
Who else do you think might know more?
She pauses for a moment and thinks. Says, well, there's the midwife, Nina Dukeskit. People confide in her. She's the midwife. You know, she is with a lot of people during difficult times and very joyous times. She's got an insight into people's lives. She may know some things.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And
Before we
unless
leave,
there's any... Okay, go for it.
I just want to, like, as everyone else is leaving, I just want to walk over to her and just quietly say, "I'm sorry for your loss," and look over at the portraits on the walls and then walk out.
Thank you. All right, and that brings us to Night Watch, which I assume you sleep.
I would like to propose that we sleep at the dairy.
At the dairy,
Where the livestock are.
like in the barn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that unfair?
No, it's a role
I'm
playing
so glad
game.
you said that. I was thinking about sleeping at the storage like shelter as well, but
We can split
Oh,
up.
we can do that.
We can split up.
yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Split the party.
I know.
Split the party.
It's not that
Okay.
hard to die, though. I mean, it's not that easy to die in this one. I'm not so skittish.
Well,
I know.
Is
I need to
dying really the worst thing?
I need to go get some body work done at some point, y'all. I don't know. I'm like down a couple points here.
Okay, so the dairy would be under at High Barn,
Okay.
where you could do that, where you'd have to talk to Bernarda Ward's maid, or you could just literally sneak into the barn.
Oh yeah, that's what we were gonna do.
That's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't want people to know we're in the barn.
No.
Sure thing.
100%.
All right. So who's sneaking into the barn? Okay, so Mateo's gonna be by himself going to the storehouse.
Yes. Yeah, you know, he's a big, strong guy. He can handle it.
Sure, why not? All right, so we'll do that first. With High Barn, you guys get towards that. It's a whitewashed barn of solid brick with, it's very large. There's some like nice beams at the top you can see poking out of some nice wood. Kind of has an air of like sad devotion about it, you feel when you get near it. So roll to sneak in. So Renny got a 5. What did Robin get?
10.
Gillin got a 2. Robin got a 10. Okay. Fun. All right. So Robin, you glide in like a shadow. Like, this is easy. And we'll say that you are so good at that. So normally you would inflict stress on someone else. So we'll say you inflict stress on the person who's watching, which we'll take to say we'll lower that roll by 1, which allows Renny to just sneak in. Following closely behind Robin in his footsteps. It's almost like maybe you've done this a few times before. It's a little difficult how stealthily he moves, but you can keep up. Gillin, you are not quite so lucky. Okay. All right. So Renny, you're going to take 1 stress to body. It's difficult to keep up. And Gillin, you were also going to take a stress to your body as well from trying to sneak in. Let's see here. And let me pull this up. There's so many names in this game. I apologize. Let me find this. All right. So, Gillin, as you attempt to keep up with Robin and Renny, who are just rapidly leaving you behind, I think you stumble. I think your ankle kind of turns in a little divot there, and you hit your knee, come down on your knees quite tough. And you're trying to scramble up, trying to stifle that curse under your breath, and then you feel I think you feel a boot connect with your shoulder, your back right between your shoulders, and shove you down. Say, I think you should stay there. The hell are you doing? Sneaking around back here. And there's a woman's voice, an older woman's voice behind you.
I burn witches, ma'am. Are you a witch?
Am I a witch? No, I am not a witch. And the boot gets off, and you start to get up, and you feel like a real tough, sinewy hand grab you by the forearm and help you up. Says, the hell kind of witches are you gonna catch falling over in field in the middle of the night?
I'm not as young as I used to be.
Well, none of us are. Megan Woodhoof. Welcome to town, Witchburner. What are you doing?
From what I understand, things keep seeming to happen to your livestock and crops and farms, but not when anyone's paying attention. So I wanted to keep an eye on things in the night when everyone's asleep.
Well, that makes two of us. We can make rounds together, or I can show you a hide it. What do you need? How can I help?
I think doing rounds with you would do us both well.
All right, well, let's get moving. You are roped into doing rounds with Megan Woodhoof, and you will not be sleeping tonight, which means that you will take penalties rolls tomorrow. And Mateo, you are sneaking into a warehouse?
I sure am, yeah.
Okay, so are you going to go for the warehouse you saw before, or are you going to try and go to one of the bigger warehouses over near Westerhouse, where Victoria Townsman lives?
I think I'll go with smaller ones might be an easier target if they were just trying out. Bigger ones make a bigger statement. Can I actually walk by the larger warehouses before I decide to see if there are any sort of guards, anything around?
Yeah, so you walk by Westerhouse, which is where Victoria Townsman lives. There's a giant barn that has been converted into a warehouse, like pretty much right outside her property. There are no specific guards there, but you do pay attention. You do occasionally see the town guard, patrol by and watch.
Okay. I'll think like my quarry and go to the warehouse that we had been to before.
Okay. All right, so roll to sneak in.
Okay, and stealth is one of my skills, so I get to use 2d10.
All right.
And take the higher, which is a 6.
All right, so that is greater than the opposed roll I was making, but you do take stress. So okay. I think you're going to take stress to your body. I think you get some splinters all in your hands.
I've had worse.
Yeah, climb up onto, I think, a second-story window and get in that way. Oh, How much stress do you have, Mateo?
I have one of each.
Okay. I rolled a 1 on my stress check for you.
Okay.
So you're good for now.
Okay.
All right. And I think that you find a there's like a little perch up there with some stairs, kind of like, like the crow's walk up there. And so question for all of you. We know that Gillin doesn't sleep. Do the rest of you sleep or do you fall asleep?
Yeah, I think I sleep.
Everyone else sleeps. All right. So Gillin won't be operating at penalties tomorrow. The rest of you will not. And we're going to take a short break at this point. A few minutes here. So stretch legs, get some water. We'll be back in a few.
We will. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We're playing Witchburner, and we have just had Robin, Mateo, and oh no, Robin, Gillin, and Renny. You guys are different places now. It's confusing me. Robin, Gillin, and Renny attempting to sneak into High Barn, the dairy barn. Robin and Renny made it. Gillin did not and got roped into doing rounds with Megan Woodhoof. And Mateo successfully snuck into a warehouse in the town. So let's start with you, Mateo. You were the
All
last and you be the first out. So you said you did fall asleep, right?
Yes.
All right. So there were storms rolling through the night. Just a lot of like windstorms, but nothing else really woke you up. You never heard any kind of thing. You wake up and you look down. That all looks exactly the same as it was before. And you do kind of hear somebody beginning to jangle a key in the lock to open the warehouse.
I'm out the window.
All right. So looking out the window, it's still early enough where there aren't many people around. But you would have to roll to see if make sure no one sees you if that's what you wanted.
Yeah. Stealth?
Yep, if you think that's relevant, sure.
All right. That's a 9.
Okay, which definitely beats the opposed roll I made. Now I'm gonna roll for your stress. So I rolled a 9, so I don't think you have 10 stress. Or
I do
would have been
not.
hearing about it. So you do make it out with no stress at all. Any particular place you're gonna head to?
Oh, we didn't decide on a meeting place up, but I'm gonna go to the inn.
Alright.
Just because I think we need to keep up appearances.
Sounds good. All right. Are you just gonna walk in the front door? Or are you gonna try and act like you're coming down from the first floor?
Oh, yeah, I think I will. Well, I'll go coming through the back. Maybe
Okay.
act like I was, I don't know, going to the latrine or something.
Fair enough. All right. You do catch a whiff of rotten fish as you pass a crate with a large, heavy stone on top of it near the outhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Stupid fish.
Should relocate that, or Anya's gonna kill me. Okay,
She put it in that crate out near the outhouse. So.
I'll make a note of that.
All right. So you head on into the inn. All right. And Gillin, you've been doing rounds for most of the night with Megan Woodhoof. Is there anything you would have attempted to talk to her about in particular during the night?
Would have asked her about her religion, the general religiosity of the townsfolk, and how the appearance of witch signs has impacted that.
She's, fairly chatty once she realizes that you're not trying to, like, steal some of the cheese or, hurt the cows or anything. And she doesn't really much seem to care if anybody hears them coming. In her opinion, that's the great way to prevent people from coming in because they know you're there. And she said, she's a believer. She believes in the three avatars. Just about everybody in town, as far as she knows, believes in the three avatars. They're good people. They tend to sacrifices and services, and she talks about there are some caves down near the river that are where they do the sacred rites for the Earth Beater. She talks about the priest, about David Stoneslinger and how he keeps Whiffer the water drinker, and talks about in general, it's from what you can tell, it seems pretty much like most towns where you have some like extremely devoted people, and you have a couple of people who just kind of like seem to only believe in name, and a lot of people in between. Um, are you trying to look for anybody who may be like a bit extreme in their beliefs, or just kind of getting a sense of things?
Getting a few names will move things along. Sure.
She talks a bit about Victoria Townsman, the woman in charge of the storehouses, the store master they call her. She thinks there's something just very evil-eyed is what Megan calls Victoria. Says she doesn't really like to get near her. Something seems strange about her. As far as the very religious, she talks a bit about, she names the priest, of course, Davis Stonesling, who mostly deals with water drinker. Else. She talks about Leah Takewood as someone who's like extra religious, stands out to her. The milkmaid. She is a bit like a little too zealous in her belief. She's kind, but she won't look at the sky at night because she's superstitious. She says that Megan says that Leah's room is full of religious iconography and like charms and those kinds of things. Turns out that both of them live in Maids Hall, which is a boarding house for single women. And so, Megan's seen that in Leah's room. But eventually, even Megan begins to get tired, and she lets you, curl up in the hay in a corner of a barn and get like a couple hours. But for the entirety of today, you are going to be at a disadvantage on social activities. So anytime you make a social related roll, it's going to be difficult. So you're going to lose a die from your pool.
Okay.
And after about 2 hours of rest, you're woken up at the dawn. We'll say that you wake up in the same barn as Robin and Renny. And again, same thing. You guys heard storms rolling through, you heard rain, but nothing in the barn woke you up.
Before we leave, I want to take a look around, see if there's anything unusual, see if all the food stock that's in here is still good.
Okay, so let me get to High Barn. All right. It's a recently refurbished barn, you can tell. Again, that era of sad devotion. There's, the cattle seem healthy that are there. They seem well fed and well taken care of. The hay looks quality, that kind of thing. You don't seem to find anything out of the ordinary. It just looks like a well-run, flourishing dairy barn.
Okay. I finished kind of making my rounds, things, checking the milk. I'll just turn and I'll give a little like half shrug. Shake my head.
Can I also look? Would that make a difference?
I mean, you could look with him, but I'm not going to ask you guys to roll. You don't really find
There's
anything
nothing,
that seems weird or unusual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm hungry. You want to go back to the inn and get some breakfast?
Fine idea.
As we walk, I ask Gillin what they learned overnight.
Learned that the town is much like other towns. They have a broad spectrum of religiosity, with most people being at least somewhat. When we have 3 people of note from Megan Woodhoof, Victorian townsman, who apparently is on the lesser side of the spectrum and allegedly has evil eyes. There's also David Slingstrider, the priest, of course. Well, at least, not of course. One would hope. And then Leah Takewood, who Megan said that she was too zealous, but I don't know that that's such a thing.
Tell me more about that.
I'll say at this point you've made it back to the inn, and Renny is saying that as you guys are walking in, where Mateo is kind of sitting at a table, beginning to eat breakfast.
Hail, fellow Witchburners. Did you find anything?
Nothing obvious, but the leads continue to roll in. What have you?
Not much. Got a glimpse of the main storehouse, though. It looks interesting. Gillin, you have that look about you, like someone just asked you about religion. Are you
Yes.
preaching today?
I might. Water drinker willing. There was the question of zealousness, and zealousness always provokes the concerns of going too far, believing too fervently. But when the three are around us, in the water, in the earth, in the very sky, and the problems down here are manifest when we encounter witch signs and other troubles. Can you have too much belief, too much faith that we can draw on our faith, draw on the avatars to see us through this, and to see the world shift towards the balance of the faithful? No. Zealousness is not a matter of excess. Zealousness is a matter of survival.
You hear here from the bar, from like the bar line, and there's just a man who looks like he was once a bear of a man, but has discovered the bottle since then. Just already 2 drinks in, it looks like. Early in the morning, sitting in the bar. Preacher. He like raises a beer to you and just starts drinking.
Good morning to you.
And a fabulous morning it is, getting a sermon like that.
We are the Witchburners, as you probably have an inkling. My name is Gillin. I'll let my fellows introduce themselves.
Mateo, raise a cup of coffee and just keep drinking it. Trying to hide my amusement.
Renny. Hi. That's Robin.
Jeremiah Hammerbreaker. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Hammerbreaker.
Mr. Hammerbreaker's my brother. I'm Jeremiah.
Nice to
What-
make your acquaintance, Jeremiah.
What you drinking, Jeremiah?
Whatever the ale swill or so will bring me. And he like kind of like half yells that towards the kitchen, and she just kind of like waves him off.
So what you know about what's going on in this town?
Oh, I don't know. There was the fields went bad, the gardens went bad, then they went bad again, and there was a cat, and I heard something about a baby with a third eye, and damn fish. I don't know. Y'all know anything? You catch a witch yet?
Not yet.
Hmm.
Who do you think it is?
He considers for a moment, and he seems almost eager to tell you something. And he says, well, you talked to that foundling kid yet? He ain't natural.
How so?
Wild child from the woods, come in here, can't speak a word of the king's English, and just covered in hair. I'll bite. He bit me once.
What's his name?
Carl Foundling.
Okay. We have not met him yet. We'll look for him. I wanted to ask you, have you had any witch activity in this town before now?
Oh, let me think. And he takes a long swig of his drink. And he says, well, sometimes nights, I'm here till late, till Ursula kicks me out and I gotta go home. And I just, sometimes I hear things at night, and I think once I heard them coming and going at night. I saw lights up by the old foxholes, and he motions up towards the hills. The old war, not the war we just had, the old war. There was foreign soldiers here, and they had foxholes. And I think that's they did something up there with them foreign rights.
Okay, but this is the
Lingers.
first. But is this the first time you've had like all the crops go bad and that type of thing
yeah,
happen?
this is a whole other level.
Okay. That's when did this exactly start? I don't know why I'm talking to you. You're drunk. We should go and talk to somebody else. Thank you so much. No, let me buy you a drink. I put a
Okay,
little
yeah,
bit.
sure.
I put like one coin down on the bar. I'm like,
Anya
pat
is
him on the
there and
shoulder.
taking the coin before Jeremiah could touch it.
Pat him on the shoulder. Like, thank you. I returned to the party. Like, I'm interested in this. That this seems to be the first time that anything like this has happened here. I want to find out exactly when this started.
I can tell you that you would have known that already. It's been about 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
Things have been happening.
Okay, 2 weeks. Well, do we know who was the first person who discovered anything?
I think the fish were the first sign, and I think lots of people saw them at the same time. They all kind of just like turned up all up and down the banks. We're now calling that the morning watch, so we're now moving into the afternoon watch.
Okay.
Do we want to go to the fields?
Well, the sun's still up. I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
So far, we've spoken to those who own the storehouses, but we haven't really spoke much to the workers themselves.
Yeah.
Right, so you guys head out towards the fields. Let's see here. And everywhere you go, there are just dead plants. There's, that blackened wheat, the like cracked and oozing weeping pumpkins. Um, it just seems very just like there's nothing growing anywhere. And I think eventually you do happen upon a man out in the field, just kind of sighing. He's like using his boot to like turn over some pumpkins. He just looks kind of dazed walking around. He's carrying a hoe and he occasionally will like dig at the ground a little bit, but just doesn't seem to ever find much anything, just wandering about a bit.
I'll kind of hail him just so we don't scare him walking up. Hello.
Oh,
Good afternoon, sir.
hello, Witchburners. Didn't expect to see you all out here. Welcome. What can I do for you? I'm Gregor Inksblood.
Any relation to the
To Petra? Yeah, she's my cousin.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, she's
Well-
big and important. I'm just a farmer.
Well, it seems as if your importance has been recently highlighted.
Yeah, I guess. This is certainly something. Certainly something. You got any leads? Got any clues? Know anything yet? He seems a little desperate.
Little early to share, but we're working on it. I wonder if you might share with us the story of how you came to find your crops in this state. Was it sudden? A slow creep?
Kind of both. I know that doesn't make much sense. Sorry. Everything was fine, and then there was a patch of patch of my field up there in the corner, and he points, and the wheat started to turn black, and I took the hoe and I like dug it out, and I thought maybe there's some kind of blight coming through, or mold or pest or something. It happens every now and then. You dig it out real quick, and you dig out a little more around it and try to make a break, so it doesn't infect your whole crop. But the next day it came out and it was just halfway down the field. And then the day after that, it was all like that. And then it was the pumpkins, it. And other people say it was like that too. It was a little patch, and then it was everywhere within a couple days.
Can you, I say quietly, speaking loudly so people can hear me, can you show us where it started?
Yeah, sure. And he takes you down the field to the far corner of his field. And it's kind of hard to tell where his field begins and where the next one ends. Like you could see more wheat, but he just seems to know immediately himself and stops there. That's right here. That's where it started. And you can see that the earth is turned over not recently, but within the last couple of weeks, they've been like digging there, and there's noticeably no crop in this particular area versus like dead wheat all around.
I'd like to kind of study the ground and the earth there, see if there's anything maybe a little bit deeper, and then expand that search just a little bit past his field towards like something that may have moved.
Okay, sure.
I rolled a 8.
What's your stress and your mind in the mind track?
2.
Okay. I rolled a 2. Uh, and what was you said you had an 8 on the roll?
Mm-hmm.
An 8, so that's a success with no stress. So you guys watch as Robin just like immediately gets down on his knees and starts like digging his fingers. Like he's not digging, he's like digging his fingers through the earth. And you find blighted roots pretty easily. And they are covered in whatever that black, crumbly, oily substance is that's all over the wheat stalks. And it's everywhere as you keep digging around. And Gregor sees what you're doing and takes the hoe and starts like working with you and digging stuff up to make it easier for you to see in the ground. And he starts like swearing up a storm as he's doing this. He's just like, it's everywhere. It's in the ground. How do you find something that's in the ground?
I just say quietly to myself by digging, and I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, like below the root bed, for where the wheat would have been and see if there's anything deeper in the earth there.
You don't see anything else there. It looks like it stops where the wheat roots are.
Is there anything unusual about the soil itself?
Not that you can tell.
Okay. After a little while, I'll just stop. I'll wipe my hands off on my trousers, stand up, and just kind of shake my head.
What are Mateo, Renny, and Gillin doing during this?
I'm curious how he irrigates the field.
Curious how he irrigates the fields?
Yeah.
He looks very confused by that word at first, and he says, "Well, I mean, there's rain. I mean, I guess there's been droughts here and there, and we've had to like pull up buckets and stuff, but like, mostly
Did that happen this year?
No, everything was fine. Everything seemed fine and normal until it very suddenly was not. He looks very stressed and very worried.
Did anyone come here before that happened?
Well, like
Or
to
anything
the
unusual
field?
at all.
Yeah, to the field.
Not that I know of. I didn't see anybody. I mean, well, they're not walled. The
Right.
guards don't really patrol the fields. Maybe they should have been, but no. I mean, we get visitors through the town. It's the major bridge across the Cleareyes from here, in the Whitewater and such. And anybody, I guess, could have.
But nobody that you knew.
Not any particular person that I know of. No.
And nothing, as Gillin was asking, nothing unusual happened before the blight started.
Not that I know of. It's just got to be the witch. That's evidence for a witch, right? Everything's fine, and then suddenly it gets very not fine. It's got to be a witch.
Anything happen in the town to anyone to maybe set off? Like, did something bad happen to someone that they would want to get revenge on the town for?
He thinks for a long moment. You can tell he's really racking his brain trying to come up with something. He says, well, I saw a black shadow like creeping, crawling out from under a front door one night, but I don't know. I can't think of anything. I mean, it's town. Sometimes people like each other, sometimes they don't. I can't think of anything in particular.
Wait. Go back to the black the black shadow. Where did you see that?
I saw it. He seems a little reluctant to share it with you. But he says, well, I saw it come out from under the doctor's house. Ivana Cleanland, the Dr. Cleanland. I saw it creep out from under her house.
Okay, when?
Well, about a week or so before, I think, the fish.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll take your words in strict confidence.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Why don't I walk y'all back into town? I don't think there's anything else you can see around here. I mean, unless you want to, I can walk you wherever you want.
Is there anything else we should look at?
I mean, it's all about the same from what I've seen. I've been wandering around the fields trying to find anything, and it all looks about the same to me.
The drunkard had mentioned foxholes up in the hills.
Oh, Jeremiah. I don't even know if they're real, but if they were, they'd be clear on the other side of town. Probably a little further up. I don't know. That war was decades ago. Who knows?
Do any of the farmers in the area make sacrifices or offerings to the Earth Beater?
Well, my wife does. Well, she's not a farmer. She's a butcher. But yeah, my wife's She paints the caves down, with for the holy cave for the Earth Beater. Yeah, she
Mhm.
paints them there once a year.
Would you mind if
And
we took a closer look there?
well, I mean, it's not really like my say, but you can talk to her. Here, I'll take you in and come meet my wife. And he starts walking you guys into town. At this point, we'll call afternoon watch done, and you come up uh to. Where's the
Sorry, I
house?
actually meant that question for the rest of the group.
Oh,
I would like to see the river,
Mm.
I think, where the fish were found.
I'm really interested in this doctor because I feel like
That too.
this is the second person who's told us about the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
But
be
I'm
interested in the river as well, kind of seeing the place where it was first discovered, seeing if there's anyone around there. And I'm also very interested in this foundling.
Hmm. Maybe we save the river for the morning
Okay.
when it's light out.
As you guys are having this discussion, there's a a fairly young girl who's walking up the path towards you all. Um, she's got dark eyes as she gets close, and she stares at you all with wide eyes. And Gregor says, "Oh, Veronica, what's it's my stepdaughter, Veronica? Uh, what's going on, sweetheart?" And Veronica can barely tear her eyes off of all four of you. And she says, "Oh, Gregor, Mama says you need to come home and you need to go see Petra. She's you need to go see her right away. And maybe the Witchburners should go too."
what what's wrong with Petra?
I don't know. Mama just said that Gregor needs to come home right away and that maybe you should go see Petra too. And Gregor looks very worried and he leans down and he picks up Veronica and says, "Let's go." And he heads up says, how about a shoulder ride? And he puts her up like on his shoulders and she's very pleased by it. And I don't know what's going on, but if something's happened to Petra, I gotta be there. But do you wanna come?
I mean, we're requested. What do the rest of you think?
Yeah, I think we should go.
So you
Gillin?
walk. All right. You go back towards the town. Gregor leads you back towards Petra's home. As you walk back, you do see that Veronica, the girl, has got a birthmark on her left leg. As you know, she's got this piggyback ride. Her skirt pulls up a little bit. And you can see it on her left calf. It's like a hand, like someone had wrapped a hand right around like the base of the big muscle in the back of your calf. Just very hands-looking birthmark on the left leg, and she just stares at all of you with wide eyes. And Gregor's trying to like lighten the mood and engage her in conversation and like play with her a little bit, and she just is very serious and staring at all of you.
Mateo,
Yes.
is that about the same size?
I don't want to like grab the kid, but I'm just gonna
I think once you get
eyeball
close
it.
enough, you can see it's not. It is significantly smaller and thinner, and the more you look at it, the more you realize it just kind of looks like a hand when you look at it close, like glancing. It looks less even, like the fingers are the wrong length. They're all different lengths, kind of thing. But if you're just looking at it quickly, it looks awful hands-like.
I'll fall back. Gillen, I'm not sure. It on closer inspection, it's not. Mm-mm. However, if you were interested, we could go talk to the midwife. I'm sure she has stories.
It's a good point.
Might have even birthed the other child, the one with the 3 eyes.
That would make sense.
At this point, you guys arrive at the Ink's Blood home. Let's see. And
Can I make an insight check on Veronica?
sure.
I want to just try to get a sense of what's behind her staring at us and her interest. Is it fascination, or is it fear, or is there something else behind it?
Yeah. Go for it. Roll for that.
And that's an 8.
I rolled a 1.
Hey.
So you get to experience Fallout. Awesome. It's exciting. So I think Robin is staring pretty intently at Veronica.
Oh yeah.
While this is happening. And what was your total stress in your minds track?
2.
And what was your total stress in the goodwill track?
2.
2. I think this is going to be more of a goodwill Fallout. So good news is you can clear all your stress in your goodwill track.
Mm-hmm.
It is now empty. And this is going to be minor Fallout. So luckily. And I think, Robin, you get just too close to Gregor and Victoria. Or
Okay.
excuse me, Veronica. And you're just looking too intently at her, and she's staring right back at you with her eyes wide. And she does not seem afraid.
Okay.
But she is deeply fascinated by everyone there, all 4 of you, because probably you think because you're new, you're outsiders, and all of the adults seem very kind of giving you a lot of deferential treatment, maybe even slightly scared of you.
Okay.
And that's interesting. But she's especially interested in you, Robin. And she just keeps staring at you. And Gregor finally notices, and he says, and he like follows your line of sight to Veronica, and he like immediately takes her down and puts her like on the ground on his other side away from you, and takes her hand and holds her hand very intensely. So she's just not very chatty today, and he just goes very quiet and like basically like pulls her along and just like walking a step in front of you. And like you could tell that he's like trying to get her to pull her skirt down a little further to try and hide. It's like about like mid calf kind of thing. Like you could just see the edge of her birthmark underneath the skirt there. He is pretty unhappy with the attention you were paying his daughter. And I think that gonna be some consequences to that. But at this point, you guys make it up to the Ink's Blood estate. It's a very graceful house. You know, it's got double sash windows and a yellow and green tiled roof that like is like glazed, so it shines a little bit in that fading light of the evening here. And there's a couple of people standing outside, and someone sees Gregor and immediately comes over and says, "Oh, it's a good thing you're here." And then the Witchburner says, "Well, I guess it's good you're all here. The witch got to Petra. She's ill in bed, covered in boils and sores. She's not doing well."
Has anyone called the physician?
Well, yes, Dr. Cleanline is inside. I don't know what it is she can do with witches, but here she is. And you are, all of you, ushered inside.
What do we see?
You're ushered past, you know, a library thick with legal tomes, lots of books everywhere in the house, and you are taken through this like beautifully decorated house. Mustard seems to be her favorite color. It's everywhere, very tasteful, and up to her bedroom where she is lying in bed with pustulent boils all over her body, and she looks quite pale. And the doctor is there as well, or a person you assume is the doctor, Ivana Cleanlight, the short, heavy woman wearing glasses. She looks up, makes eye contact with you all, and then just looks back down at her patient.
Do we see any religious folks here? Like the priests that had been mentioned, or since she is
I don't think you see anybody at the moment. No, it's just Ivana, Ivana clean lined, the doctor, and I think Gregor comes in with you since this is his cousin. And yeah, that's it. That's all you see. There's like a maid in the corner as well.
Without getting in the way of the doctor, I would like to get closer and study her, looking for signs of magic.
Okay. Go ahead and make a roll for me.
I have a 10.
Okay, so clean success, and you are able to not get in the way of the doctor. You can tell that she's actually a little impressed. She was annoyed that you got so close to Petra and was going to wave you away, but she recognizes the way you are carefully studying. And you don't feel any magic at all. This feels to you like a completely mundane, just like illness, some kind of, pox that just pops up overnight.
I asked the doctor, what do you think happened?
Dr. Cleanline looks up and just like considers you for a long moment behind her glasses, and she says, I think Petra Ink's blood is covered in boils and pustules, and I'm going to have to lance each one individually, and it's going to be a laborious process, but I think she'll be fine in the end.
What do you think caused it?
I am in the habit of investigating causes after treatment.
Gillin prays and drags basically anybody, even half willing, into participating.
Renny inches away from Gillin.
Mateo heaves a deep sigh and joins in.
Renny's been caught in this force field before. She goes back towards the doctor. Okay, kind of quietly. She's not trying to not be heard, but it's more just having a more serious conversation. I understand what you're saying about the causes. Do you think that this was magical?
I'm quite certain I would know a magical cause. If it is magical, it's indistinguishable from mundane causes I have seen.
Okay, so you've seen things like this before when we weren't under siege, basically.
I've seen various illnesses that cause boils, yes. It's unfortunately a fairly common side effect, and she like carefully lances another boil and like immediately like covers it.
Okay. Do you believe what do you think's going on in the town?
I think there's a witch afoot.
So you do think that there's a witch, is just not responsible for this.
I don't know if it's responsible for this or not. I'm not an expert on witches. I thought that was your domain.
But yes, I know everything about witches.
Good. There's quite a lot of strange things happening. It's having quite negative consequences for everyone. And we all know that witches they love chaos, they love destruction. So, seems like a witch as far as I know.
Who do you think it is?
She stops and stares at you and says, you want me to name my neighbors for you?
Do you want to be rid of the witch?
Yes, of course I want to be rid of the witch. I don't want to simply throw my neighbors out to...
Well, I mean, if your neighbor is a witch, you should tell me who it is. If they are not a witch, we will know that they are not a witch and we will not take them.
Would you like
I don't
to
understand your trouble with this.
Like to try rolling to convince her?
Sure. I do have charm. What does that mean? Does that mean I get an extra dice?
if you think that charm is relevant here, if you're trying to charm her into revealing something.
Listen, I didn't say it the nicest way. Oh, but I have the honest face.
Okay, and what does that ability do?
People just trust you.
What does
and that I can create a level 1 bond or reduce the stress to any bond by 1.
So you could create a bond with her, which would mean that you could ask her for a favor, basically ask her to do something on your behalf by rolling.
Oh, I see. Okay. Then let's rework it and say I said that in a charming way.
Okay. So then you can roll 2.
Okay. Depending on how I roll, I mean. 13.
So I just need whichever one has the higher number. You don't add up together. You just take whichever one is the highest.
Played other games yesterday. 8.
Okay, so an 8 is a clear success with no stress. I think Dr. Cleanline looks at you for a long moment. She says, well, I suppose anything that might be relevant would be useful for you to know.
Yes.
And she says, I did see someone. Well, I saw 3 iron nails hammered into an oak tree like it was butter. Then they were wrapped in what I feel fairly confident is human hair.
Where was this?
It was one of the trees in the cemetery. She hesitates for a moment and then says, I saw, like, I can't be completely certain it was him. It was dark, but I saw a short, rotund man sniffing as he left the cemeteries. I can only assume it was Ivan.
Yeah, I can only assume that as well. Okay, off the record, y'all. Is this the one is there one doctor in town?
There's only Dr. Cleanline is the only doctor.
Okay.
She's implicating Ivan Clockmaker.
Right, got that part. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Very interesting. So, another question for you. What would you say if I told you that someone said they saw a shadow coming out from under your door?
She sniffs quite loudly and she say, I'd say that all objects cast shadows, and it would mean nothing.
I say quietly. And like complete non sequitur. Would you be willing to assist us in examining the body of the child that was born cursed?
Yes, if that's what you wish, sure. I'm not bothered by dead bodies.
We will visit you tomorrow. Not mind.
May we visit you at your home?
Of course. I'm happy to help you find the witch.
Much appreciated.
Yes, thank you. You've helped us a lot.
Dr. Cleanline, I have a difficult request that I must make of you, but I must make it. And it is the will of the Firebringer that love is complex and has many shapes and facets, and I must extract this information from you. It's not that I wish to pry, it's that it is a necessity. How is your marriage?
Are you using an ability? All right, so roll for me, and then remember that you have to take 1 die out of your pool as penalty for not sleeping.
8.
8, okay. What's your stress to mind
No stress.
and to goodwill?
Also no stress.
Excellent. Okay. She looks at you for a moment and says, "Quite well. Jonah and I have been married 3 years. He came back from the Western City with me. We've lived in the town ever since."
I'm pleased to hear that.
He'll write a great piece of music one day. I know it.
I will be delighted to hear it.
The whole world will. Now, unless you want to help me lance spoils, I'm afraid I must get back to work on dear Petre here. What has Mateo been doing this whole time?
I think he would have been just kind of watching the scene, maybe looking a little at the doctor's tools. Maybe he could discern anything from the tools that she has
Okay.
in her
Sure.
bag, like if there's anything weird or out of place.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can roll for that.
Maybe study or insight?
Study definitely.
Study? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just roll the 1 dice. I got a 3. So
Okay. So you always have 1 die, and then if you have a relevant skill or domain, you can add another die. So that would be 2 die that you could roll.
I don't have that skill.
You don't have study?
I don't have study. I have prowess, deception, and stealth.
Okay.
So
All right. So rolling a 3 means that you fail and take stress. So take 1 to your goodwill.
all right.
I think, because I think Dr. Cleanline sees you like getting a little too interested in her tools there. And I think that, I think that's when her nurse comes in, the man who works under her. Adam comes in, and he just kind of like, they just kind of look at you, and like he's carrying a like very herbal smelling kind of poultice in a bowl. And he's got like several towels draped over his arm. He says, "Dr. Cleanline, were you asking for help with your tools?" And she looks up. It's just, "Are you by chance a medical person, Witchburner?"
Oh, a long time ago, in much different circumstances, but I do have an interest. Very fascinating indeed. What is this poultice? It smells. Is that river mud?
Adam just kind of looks at you and says, "No." And it goes and begins to like gently apply the poultice to where Dr. Cleanline has already lanced the boils. And Dr. Cleanline, without looking at you, says, "I spent several years in the Western City at a very esteemed academy for medicine. I have earned being called a doctor through years of study and practice and much hard work. If you wish
My
to
apologies.
observe, you can do so from over there across the room. Otherwise, I really must insist you allow me to work on my patient in peace."
My apologies, doctor. I'll slink back.
All right. Anyone else doing anything in the scene?
Oh,
You guys
we
hang out?
haven't talked to Petra, have we? Is she
She's been
conscious?
pretty not responsive. She's been just kind of like moaning and making little like weak noises every time like the doctor pushes on a pustule to drain it.
Okay.
She's like drifting in and out. She seems a little relaxed where Andrew is like Adam is applying the poultice, though. It seems to soothe.
By the way, if someone could do a pustule count at some point how many times we say pustule.
It's a pretty gross word, but it's apt.
I guess it was a green light for all of us. Okay, so so there's no point in trying to
Supercut
talk
on
to
YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave Petra alone then, because she's got enough. So
Yeah.
what time is it?
It is now pretty much nearing the end of the evening. You're getting into the night.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a question about I know we need to keep it moving, but also what do we need to do to clear some of our stress? Do we need to
You
and
have
when is a good time to do that?
several actions available for you. To clear stress, you can experience Fallout like Ian did, which
Mhm.
clears all of the stress in that track. You have a refresh action on your character sheet, so you can perform that one. You can lay low, which means that you basically don't do anything, but the story and the plot progresses without you. And then you can spend narrative time doing something that makes sense to clear stress. So if you had body stress, maybe you'd want to visit the doctor, and that would clear some body stress.
Okay. Okay. So how big does the refresh action need to be? So my refresh action is create a measure of freedom for yourself or another.
It's got to fit the criteria. It's a kind of a narrative. Can you make an argument?
Okay. So if I lanced a few of these pustules, would that be helping Petra work towards some freedom?
Not really seeing how it would be freedom. You know, she's still bedridden and quite ill, even if
Okay.
you lance the pustules. So.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm going to hold there.
So, with night coming, are you heading back to the inn? Are you going to try and sneak in somewhere else?
No, I think just go back to the inn this night. Go rest.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
And so ends the third day of your investigation. And so ends our adventure tonight. So we're going to call that, for time's sake, the good rest stopping point. So thank you very much to everyone who tuned in to watch us play Witchburner. It's been great to have you here. And my name is Stephanie Allen, and I'm going to let my cast, wrap themselves up, tell you who they are, where you can find them. So starting with you, Ian.
Me? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
we're starting with you.
You can find me
you're
here.
to my left on the screen, so.
You can find me here. This box that you're staring at right now on this particular channel. Pretty frequently. You can also find me over on the Gehenna Gaming Discord, which I'll drop a link to in chat in a minute, or other fun places. And I will save the rest of my spiel till the very end.
All right. Kristina.
Hi, I'm Kristina Sisto Kindle. You can find me over on Twitter, again, at D20Xtina. You can also find me every other Wednesdays on Off the Tables channel. We're playing a very different game, Glitter Hearts, a magical girl RPG, where I'm playing a dorky Joan, who just happens to be a magical girl. You can also find my my game on itch.io about a witch, actually, an owl witch based on Tejano folklore. But yeah, come say hey over on Twitter. I work on games.
And Miellyn.
Yeah, I'm Miellyn Barrows, and you can find me on Twitter at MiellynB. I have some things in the works, but nothing's out yet, so just stay tuned.
And Hiromi.
I'm Hiromi. I have a bunch of books out. I'll see if... Hey, it lets me paste it into the chat. Cool. That Amazon link will take you to a bunch of queer genre fiction that I wrote, most of which is collected up into anthologies. You can also basically pick up any current mage or scion book at random, and it'll be one of mine, including to Tanomaki, which I just got in the mail today, right before the stream. And oh, thank you.
I don't get permits, Ian. Give me my... Rude. Sorry, that's just... I've tried to post links. I'm only on the stream every Monday night. It's fine.
And I'm also on Onyx Path's Scarred Land stream every Saturday, where I am a snake girl and I do the full makeup.
Ooh.
Very
That's
nice.
exciting.
That's fun.
And my name is Stephanie Allen. You can find sometimes me, but mostly my business partner under @CharmPersonGames on Twitter. But you can book with me on charmpersongames.com if you like the game that I run. I can run Witchburner for you and yours too. And maybe some less witch-intensive, less terrifying games if that's your jam. And you can also catch me Monday nights here on Gehenna Gaming playing Krina the Fae in our Monster Hearts game. And I think Ian has a schedule for us.
I do. So I just want to let everyone know. First, thank you for tuning in for the first session of Witchburner. We're going to be going for the next few weeks. Taking Thanksgiving off because I believe we all live in the United States. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. And it's a holiday here, so we will be jumping into potentially the final or the last two sessions after that, and then we'll be going into a new Thursday mini series. But more importantly, tomorrow we are running the first of several one shots of the game Ace Adventure. Which launched on Kickstarter today. We're going to be featuring different casts playing this game. I believe, Stephanie, you are going to be in one of those sessions.
I am. Not the one tomorrow.
No.
Unless I've forgotten, in which case Brian should immediately message me on Discord.
You're
to
not
tell
in
me
the
that.
one tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good.
Because I'm about to say who's
yes.
in the one tomorrow. In addition to some recurring cast members who will be crossing over most of the one shots, tomorrow features some special guests. Courtney Taylor and Sissy Jones will be in that game, so that's very exciting. Both fantastic voice actresses, so make sure you tune in.
They're the best, y'all.
They really
are.
I met Miellyn, went with them, so and let's see, this Saturday I believe we're gonna have a Tales from the Loop one shot, which I'm very excited for. And then we go into our normal schedule. Sunday will be Warhammer. Monday will be Monday Night Monster Hearts, which I believe is episode 3 of season 2 of Gehenna Valley. 4, 3, 4, whatever.
What to say 4?
I'll figure
I'm
it out
pretty
when
sure
I.
it's 4. Natalie, is it 3 or 4? She's in the chat. She would know.
And then Tuesday we're gonna begin our deep dive on Mothership, featuring the GM for Eclipse, which is a fantastic game running over on Josephine McAdams' channel. Actually, I think they have their own Twitch now, but it features Josephine McAdams and Alex Ward, and a bunch of other fantastic cast members. So we will have Michael, the GM, for that game on, and then we'll be back with Witchburner next Thursday. Rinse and repeat.
I think that's the Friday I'm going to be in Ace Adventure.
I think so. I think it's next Friday. Yeah.
Okay, so you see me 3 times next week.
We might have
Nice.
we might have a community night stream next Wednesday. I don't know. We'll find out. But thank you everyone for tuning in for this. It's been a pleasure. It's very fun jumping into this game. I've been very excited about it for a while. So, Stephanie, unless you have anything else, I'm going to close this out.
Nope, I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. Share the
Good
link with all your
night.
friends. Night.